Lightning cracks, moons at max. It's movie night. The gang's all here, gripped with fear. More horror films, alright. From bad to worse and worse to shit, you'll beg to fucking quit. Malevolent Movies has arrived in stereo now, nowhere to hide.
All right, hey everybody, welcome to episode number 3 of Malevolent Movies, the podcast. I'm Ryan Matthew Ziegler, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Tyler Am. How you doing, Tyler?
Good.
Joe Buckley's here. Joe?
Yeah, hey everybody.
Trevor is here. Hey, Trevor.
Hello.
And Nick is here as well.
Yo.
And we are here tonight to discuss a motion picture coming from the middle of the 2000s. I don't know what we call that, the aughts, 2006.
The naughty oddies.
Yeah.
How about just the O's?
Well, either way you slice it, we dug real deep to dig up this title, and it is a movie called Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches.
Get it?
2006.
It's the edge of your time.
I'm going to read the synopsis on the back of the double disc, double feature release for this movie. Video store clerk Marty Jenkins hasn't been lucky at life. Mom and dad disowned him, and his girlfriend just walked out. But his prospects are looking up. 3 curvy goth babes have started frequenting his store, and they've all got a crush on him. Marty can't believe his luck until he realizes it's not love they want, but his blood. He must become the greatest vampire slayer of them all, or join the ranks of the living dead. Ohio director Henrique Couto has garnered a cult following for mixing comedy and horror. His films include Faces of Schlock, Depression the Movie, and Babysitter Massacre. He will be putting a new twist on a horror classic with his upcoming Amityville No Escape. We're supposed to come out in 2016, so hopefully everything went well with Amityville No Escape.
It is on his IMDb. It looks like it came out.
Yeah, so this is a double feature box of, as titled, The Vampire Bitches, not Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches, and After the Blood Rush.
Okay.
So I'm not familiar with movies like in their log line or in their, synopsis for the back of a DVD advertising the endeavors.
Something else.
The future endeavors of a director.
Usually something like that'll be like if the original animated Lord of the Rings had a reprint, I believe around 2000, 2001, that had something similar, like now a major motion picture by New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that's even close that I can recall. This is very strange.
It does look like he's directed a lot of films after this. He made A Bulldog for Christmas. He made Haunted House on Sorority Row, Awkward Thanksgiving, and Alone in the Ghost House. So there's some good stuff you can check out.
Very good.
Joe guarantees it.
Oh, yeah, I put my stamp of approval.
Joe, since you have his internet movie database up, was this his first feature, at least according to the website?
He did the 2 Faces of Schlock video movies, I guess. So he shot these on video, it looks like. And then
Well, hold on a second though, because those there are a handful of things, 4 things, but they're all labeled as video or video short, where Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches is not.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if those they could have just been YouTube videos or something. Or
I think what that means is like a direct to DVD kind of thing back in the day.
hold on a second. These are an
video.
hour and 50 minutes. Faces of Schlock.
But is this like an anthology thing?
Yeah, I don't really know. Oh, maybe this is like the CKY videos, but with really bad shorts.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. It's just like a guy who goes to reach in for an ice cube in the blender and gets his fingers cut.
Yeah.
Well, either way you slice it, Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches was released in 2006. As I was watching the movie, I kept thinking to myself, I wonder if it was made in 2006, how long it took for it to come out, distribution, because there are some jokes that I know it wouldn't be pre-2004 because there's there's multiple references to Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
So at least 2004, but there's also jokes like DVDs being a confusing concept that I'm like, well, maybe in 99 somebody might mistake DVDs for STD, and that would have been a funny joke. But again,
I mean, the discs are still hard for people. If you go to like a Best Buy, you'll see people just wandering like zombies in the aisles, not knowing what to do.
You got to find a Best Buy.
What I'm saying, Joe, is that in 1999, you might have said, "Oh, I got a DVD," and somebody might not even know what that is, and they could, theoretically think you said STD. By 2004, DVDs were pretty much a household word.
I fully believe the creation of this film could have spanned at least 5 years.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a possibility.
Unfortunately, on this film, I did not get a chance to listen to a director's commentary. Would have loved that. Would have loved that.
Apparently, Chris LaMartina was also a director in Faces of Schlock.
Okay, so must be an
Everybody's getting
anthology.
together back then.
Yeah.
In the mid-2000s, if you ever rented any of these shot-on-video movies, not part of the initial shot-on-video boom of the late 80s and movies like 555 and all these classic video violence, whatever, but there were a glut of, in the mid-2000s, of these homegrown backyard shot-on-video movies, and you could go to a family video or a mom-and-pop store and rent them. Shawn and I had a movie club and during that time period where we'd watch, the most ridiculous horror movies we could find every Monday night. And I felt a lot of nostalgia actually just from the vibe and the feel of Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches, because it felt like those movies you would have, rented in the mid 2000s.
Well, and as much as I'm sure we're going to dunk on this in many ways, it has been released multiple times. It has been doubled up with other films. So, like, it's probably more a testament to Henrique's gusto, because I mean, from what little I know on social media and online, this guy is pretty prolific as far as this is what he seems to do for a living. I don't know if he has a day job or what, but I mean, he's got a Patreon that has a decent amount of followers, makes a decent amount of money from that. He's got a YouTube. He does podcasts. He does the storytelling podcast. And I mean, he's released a movie a year.
Ton of movies, yeah. Or,
at least a movie every other year for quite a while. So, I'll give him credit there. And actually, I think my rating will surprise you guys. So
mine as well, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, who wants to take the lead on this?
I don't want
to consult my notes,
but I will if I have to.
Okay, so I'll take the beginning, because this is some of the stuff that I like. There's an earnestness to a lot of what's happening, and you can tell that there are certain scenes that everybody was into. Mm-hmm. And this introduction, which is the birth of our titular character, Marty Jenkins, it's a skit. It's a skit. This has nothing to do with the movie. The father figure does show up again later, and it's only to establish that for some reason Marty is an unloved, sad sack of a guy, and his parents. There's a whole bit later where he calls his dad, and it's the same guy who's probably 28,
he's so young looking,
wearing what looks like gray, some baby powder in his hair or something. And the whole bit is that everybody thought Marty was gay, including the dog. And so that's kind of the sense of humor you're going to get through a lot of the movie. But this whole opening scene is the trouble this woman's going through giving birth, and this father who's freaking out because it was an at-home birth, and why would we ever do this? But it's like a Laurel and Hardy sketch on cocaine. It's bizarre. But I laughed. I laughed more than I should have. I will admit that.
I did too. At first, I was overtaken with the nostalgia of watching movies of this kind back in the day, but then I followed along with it. And, there's a bit when after it's a sound effect, and it's the woman has the baby. She's been screaming and yelling and making, get this fucking thing out of me. Blah. And then you hear this
yep.
And then she's like, oh, okay, good. And the baby was born, and I laughed. That was the first laugh the movie got out of me, and it was a hearty laugh, actually. So I thought, okay, this is the kind of movie, because I'd watched the trailer, and I was getting kind of cringy vibes from the trailer. I wasn't looking forward to watching this. But after that sound effect bit, I was like, all right, I kind of see the vibe. Let's go. Let's. I'm in. And the movie continued with that same sense of humor.
I felt there's very little creative dialogue, I guess. Just a lot of screaming fuck for the sake of screaming fuck, because that's funny. But, I mean, I guess we can't say too much
no, we can't.
to that. But
no,
there were just a few, I can't even think of what they were in response to, but the dad character, he keeps making these goofy responses.
What was she pregnant with? A 9-pound fart?
Yeah, I mean, Not so much that, but like she'll say something and he'll just like have a goofy face and say like make a weird noise
like that.
That's what I appreciate.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to pull his collar and steam to come out.
Yeah, I mean, just keep screaming "fuck, fuck, fuck" over and over.
She needs drugs. Give me some fucking drugs.
Now I don't remember this or like the intricacies of this scene because I watched this a week ago, but is there any connection to vampires in this opening, or is it just to establish?
I didn't see any.
I was going to ask you because I wasn't sure who all these extra women were. Are they the vampire bitches?
See,
what are they doing here? Why do we need them?
A wife or somebody.
Why are there strangers in the house?
And now this other. Oh, I forgot. There's two of them.
Yes, there's two like midwives. I don't.
I thought that these two might pop up as two of the vampires later in the movie, but they're two different people, right? Like those two ladies aren't in the rest of the movie, right?
They are not vampires in the rest of the movie.
Which leads me to my next question. What was the point of this scene?
Exactly. It never calls back except for the fact when he calls his dad.
Who's holding him? That's not one of the vampires?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it only hits about 84 minutes or so maybe they had to pad it by another 5.
It's 94 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason,
it's 94, Joe. Believe
for some
me.
reason on IMDb, it's listed as an hour and 20. So when I finally found a copy of it, I was very surprised to see that it was 14 minutes longer than advertised. But maybe that's part of the way they get you in.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's a PAL slowdown.
Well, maybe it's probably a standard amount of time, but I think that the opening credits sequence goes on for way longer than they earned.
So now we're on to my favorite part of this movie, which is the music.
This guy, I have written down Napoleon Dynamite music kicks in.
Yes, the music is clearly locally sourced, all of it.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So it's like friends were like recording something on their 2006 phone on an acoustic guitar and sending it in. This weird electronic music, which is like the opening credits and gets played like 2 or 3 more times throughout the movie. I loved it. And I loved it because it, like Ryan, it took me back to when we used to make stupid shorts and shit way back in the day. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. And I'm not saying that Henrique didn't know what he wanted to do, but it's that feeling of, hey, we'll do whatever we got to do to get the thing that we need. So the music would kind of sound like and
then somebody like that keyboard Life Aquatic style score, and I love that. So I was in on that credit sequence. You had the pop sound effect, and I was feeling better. I'm feeling even better with the credits. Well, I think, and then it lead us right. Okay, so then it leads us to our lead character, who gets a special title credit, Shawn, whatever it was, in Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches. So I was like, okay, all right, here's a star in the making we got to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. But the credit sequence is him driving through, I guess it was Dayton, Ohio, and he's going to his girlfriend's house. He goes to an apartment complex. He's got flowers in his hand, and he's happy and he's smiling. And at that point, I wasn't sure yet, even though I assumed. I was like, is this the little baby already grown up? Because it goes from boom, a newborn baby, to a middle-aged bald man.
Yeah.
A little jarring for me, but...
Well, and that's kind of the sense of the whole thing, is that nobody fits their role. Nobody fits their role. And it's like, no offense to any of these actors, but it's like Henrique wrote a script, and he wrote the script he wanted, and then trying to cast people. I'm sure it was friends of friends of friends of friends, which we are very accustomed to in our movies. So it's like, Nick even messaged me, you can really tell that this person is the this of our group, and this person is the that of that.
Say who I said, Tyler.
Say who he said. I want to
know.
I will spare them. But anyways, but again, it's like I do like that charm of it, even though I know that these people are not good actors. They were never meant to act, but I can tell they're giving their all, and so it's like it sells me. It does sell me, even though it's terrible. Yeah, they're having fun, and I don't. And it's like if it felt like a Justin Price film where it's like putting more effort into this than it really needs because you think that you're doing something bigger than it is. This is not that at all. Like
this movie knows how small it is.
I mean, most of those kind of films have like a $500,000 budget, or $1 million, or $2 million, or
This is just short
The
of
Justin
being
Price
like
films?
Yeah.
No, there's no way they have that much money.
Well, they got that actor, the old man actor. I forget who he is, but they had some
They had
money.
Eric Roberts, but I'm sure he was
They had him
probably
for
like
like an
set for one
afternoon,
day,
though.
Yeah.
and maybe they just paid the Screen Actors Guild minimum. It's certainly Eric Roberts in your movie for 2 days does not constitute $1 million budget.
Yeah.
Well, but hold on a second. We should send Eric Roberts what Joe just said, and he will feel really good.
Oh, I love Eric Roberts. Yeah, don't
yeah,
get me
yeah.
wrong.
He's
Just-
$1 million actor.
Dayton, Ohio is a big enough community that if you really would have had auditions and found theater actors, or you would have pulled in a decent pool, numbers wise, you had to have been able to, and you could have found probably more capable actors. But this felt like it was friends of friends making a home movie. I mean, that's what it feels and looks like. It looks like just, hey guys, let's make a fun home vampire movie one summer.
it feels just shy of being totally improvised scene by scene. That's kind of the amount of effort that I from the actors I guess I get, or the dialogue. I don't know. That's just kind of I'm certain there was a script that someone was very proud of, but
Well, it was just on napkins. That's the only thing they had at the time to write the script
I
on.
mean that's fine.
Well, that's funny you bring that up, Nick, because that's something I wrote down though is and I believe it's in Henrique, the filmmaker himself, played the character of Tyler, the best friend with the long hair, and I noticed as most of the dialogue, yes, it felt very improvisational and sort of loose and sort of, we're not really sure if our lines are right, but we're spitting them out anyway, except for his stuff. And I'm like, he wrote the script, he knows these characters back and forth, and he was the most rehearsed because he's doing like that rat-a-tat-tat style, Kevin Smith-esque one, And so I knew right away, I was like, okay, without even looking it up, I'm like, that's the director of the movie. This guy, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Because he's the most ready to go.
And he's the one that's willing to take some of the more in 2006 terms. I don't know if it would have been controversial, but he's introduced at a video store because he's returning some DVDs, and Marty is a manager or it just works at the video store, and he's trying to get his late fees removed. And he says something, I'm going to butcher the line, about how he wants the late fees to make like Native Americans and like essentially be gone like from American land. And so he was willing to take some big steps.
Yeah, there are a number of jokes throughout the movie that even in 2006,
We're pushing it.
I was like, really, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the beginning. After that, the long credit sequence, we end up with, I guess, what is the catalyst for the emotional arc of our character?
Oh, yeah. He
Him
gets
and his
dumped.
girlfriend.
Yeah, there's a funny bit, and where Marty shows up at this apartment right after the opening credit sequence, and he's got his bouquet of flowers, and he's like, going to his girlfriend. And his girlfriend takes the bouquet. Oh, thank you! In one swift motion, just throws it over her shoulder, like, what is it? Adam Sandler and Big Daddy does that with the fries, and a character does that in Monster It as well. It made me laugh. I like that. I don't know why. I like that joke. I've seen it before. I laughed. And, I mean, it was fun. But then but then the actress, again, we talked about it. She's a friend, probably. And,
Yeah.
it was, it's to start off the movie with,
Yeah.
This is the start of me starting to think that if in the hands of someone maybe with money who has access to resources, that this would be a legitimately funny thing, because the dialogue, there's a lot of like sort of clever things and clever little jokes, and it would be funny. And if you take it out of the context of this film and imagine, like, just replace all, if you can use your imagination and replace all of the people's apartments that they're clearly just using people's apartments with just like an empty stage, this would be a funny play, just watching people like act out these scenes.
I mean, this could be like a Leslie Nelson film.
But anyways, speaking of the locations, the video store, when we eventually get there, gets many establishing shots for no necessary reason.
Well, they have all those DVDs on the shelf. Are you not going to film them?
Well, I think that to them was their big get. It was like, hey, we've got the video store. We get to shoot there at probably 2 a.m. and we're gonna it's gonna look really good. Which is like for all the other places you might get an exterior, but like we saw every row and all the fun stuff in there.
Yep. So that full throttle
I thought it was
case.
a cool video store. because it was called Precinct 13 and it was John Carpenter themed because they had John Carpenter, all of his
all over
films,
the place.
posters on the wall. So I thought, I'm thinking this is a real video store, probably, obviously,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, hey, that's a cool video store. I wish I could have went there. I'm sure it's out of business now, but I was like, hey, I'd like this place.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't even know, like, other than the bit of Marty getting dumped, I mean, like, that's kind of the whole joke. I mean, she takes him down many pegs and, he goes home. We see, like, a montage of him being sad and, like, punching pillows and crying.
Yeah, he
A really
cries
long,
and then
weird,
it
awkward
fades.
crying sequence. It's just completely, black. There's nothing on the screen. And you're just listening to this guy weep.
Yeah.
And I laughed at that too. Cause I'm like, come on. He's a convincing crier, but let's move it.
Let's.
I was like,
We
I
get it, you're
He's
sad. Come on.
Move it on. Yeah, let's get to the vampire bitches already.
Yeah, I think there should have been just a little bit more microwave cheese in this montage.
But there's a running gag. Speaking of the video store, because in the movie moves to he's been up all night or something. He's like, I got to go to work, and he's working night shift at this video store. That's when we're introduced to his friend Tyler, played by the director. But there's a funny running gag throughout the movie, and I don't know if it's an in joke or something, but everybody's always renting the movie Hobgoblins.
Oh, I missed that.
Every time someone's bringing a DVD back, or they're and then they turn right around to rent one, it's always a DVD copy of the movie Hobgoblins.
Oh, it was
which
hot.
is a notoriously bad Gremlins ripoff that MST3K did a great episode about. And I liked that. I liked it because I didn't understand it. I don't know if it was an in joke or it was just like, hey, this movie's terrible, but we love it. But the Hobgoblins was always popping up in this movie, the DVD copy.
Why is everyone so quiet?
Shh. We were letting him finish.
But I'm always worried that it's cutting out.
Oh.
That could be it too, I guess.
I thought you
blank?
finished your thought, so I was confused.
No, I did. But then I'm like, oh, crap. I don't hear anything. Maybe it died.
Marty goes to work. We meet the best friend, Tyler. And then very shortly thereafter, we're introduced to the titular vampire bitches, one of whom has got to be the director's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it is the one that takes her shirt off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who else would have
There's
done
one
that.
love scene in the movie, and it's between the Tyler character and this vampire.
Okay, I'm trying to remember why they they want Marty because they think he's a virgin.
I think he's just full of blood. He's fat. He's completely full of
They keep
blood.
talking about
They
his
know he's
fat
going to be a
neck.
good meal.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Sloshing around in there, they can hear it. It's good.
Because they've been sleeping all winter. I guess they're like bears. So, I mean, they're hungry. They want blood.
Yeah, because the blonde is like the leader, and she tells them that they have to wait. But why do they have to wait?
Because
Yeah,
it's got to
wasn't-
be
it
90
wasn't
minutes.
really
It's got to be
explained,
feature
yeah.
length.
Yeah, because I'm not making that up, right? She does tell them they need to wait.
Yeah,
That's
you
in
gotta
there.
wait.
Yeah.
They need they turn the guy into a vampire to get him, right? Isn't that?
But why?
Oh, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
but,
And
but why?
I was barely paying attention by this point, so I'm glad I was correct.
But yeah, I think they leave, and there's some mythos about the vampires in this movie, the world of this movie, and how they operate. And like Joe said, they're like sleepy, and they wake up, and then yeah. God, this is awful. Like
They go back to Marty's house, and he looks at his sketchbook full of T-Rex drawings.
Yeah.
Sad T-Rex.
Oh, that's right.
Tyrannosaurus sad. I
Oh,
think is
there's
what it
that
said.
Very
fucking guy.
2005.
There's more of him being sad, and then he's back in the video store just to introduce more characters. I don't know why they just didn't do this in the same day. But we're introduced to a coworker or the manager. I can't quite remember the guy with like the beard and
Yeah, it
the
seemed like the
fingerless
boss.
gloves.
Ugh.
I think
Yeah.
he's the manager. Yeah,
Okay,
because
because he's an asshole to Marty.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to find that funny, and I didn't find that funny.
No, he just seems like a dick.
Yeah.
Like, I did not like that character whatsoever.
I feel like they wrote that for their friend who maybe like he does a dick character as a bit. And like, dude, you're gonna do great. It's gonna be so funny when you're just fucking asshole. And it's like, no, it's not.
No.
But anyways, then we're introduced to the I don't know, the red herring love interest, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah, there's a character that likes to come to the video store and she rents a lot of movies and they have an awkward back and forth, flirtatious kind of thing. And the Tyler character tells Marty, hey, I think she really likes you. You should go for her, blah, 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 that sort of thing. But my heart's too broken. I don't know how to do it type of, setting up this potential love interest hero type of thing that could happen down the line.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
I know. I mean, she's turned into a vampire.
I mean, there's a whole, it looks like by the end, that is what will happen, and it's a subverted expectation. situation.
Is it at this point in the movie where his girlfriend and her new boyfriend visit the video store momentarily? Then they go outside and they're attacked by the 3 vampires and eaten and killed. Well, except for the girlfriend who's turned into a vampire.
I think that's later.
Ex-girlfriend, I should say. But I think it's the first night because she's on that date.
You're right. You're right. Yes.
She's going on a date with some guy.
Oh, because it was a few hours later. There's a joke about
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
And so they come into the video store. They're there for a moment. They split and they're attacked by the 3
They steal a DVD.
vampires. And the man is eaten, presumably killed, and then the ex-girlfriend is taken back to the lair. They bring her back to the lair with the idea of, I guess, they're going to turn her into a vampire, and they do.
Mm-hmm. They
and
sure
they
do.
did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get what the point would be of turning people into vampires. 'Cause that's just more hungry mouths to feed. Who wants that?
That's a good point.
Yeah, Joe's got a
Unless
point
you want
here.
companionship.
Well, is it something like where every season when they wake up or whatever it's called, they look for someone to be like a familiar or something? Because like I know that's like a running gag where it's like you don't ever bite your familiar, but maybe they just do.
Yeah,
I didn't even catch any of that.
vampire lore is kind of weird in this movie because there's
they're
also
like,
seasons.
Yeah.
Like you can only cook up one antidote per season.
Yeah, it's like a deer kind of thing. Like you can
For
only
some
shoot
reason.
one buck a year.
But then this guy just makes it in his apartment. That's jumping way ahead. But
Yeah.
Yeah, we find that later with my favorite character in the movie, Hummer, I think is his name.
that's his name. Yep.
He shows up later in the movie. You don't know if he's somebody's uncle, got a plum role in the movie, but he was my favorite character.
So, anyways, the vampire bitches come back that second night when we're introduced to the manager and all that, and again, nothing is accomplished except more flirting between the Tyler director character and we assume
Ginger?
is his girlfriend.
I think
vampire.
is her name. Yeah.
I didn't know they had names.
That's the only
I
name
was
I
going to look them up
remember.
and write them all down, and then I did not do it.
I know one of them is named Ginger, but I don't know which one that is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think-
Ginger is the one that ends up in the love scene.
Oh,
That
okay.
was the
So
that
that
is
is that one.
Ginger.
Okay, yeah, then it is Ginger.
Because I remember him saying, I think Ginger wants my dick, wants my penis.
Yeah.
And exactly, Joe's response was exactly what I assumed Joe's response was as he watched the movie when the guy said the word penis. I'm sure
I
Joe was
relate.
sitting
I
at home
relate
like,
to this character.
yeah.
That evening, Marty, again feeling dejected and sad, goes home and calls his father, who is like again the same dude from the opening of the movie, who is probably like 28, 29, 30 at most, and is made to look barely dusty.
Yeah, it was the old community college turn you into Ebenezer Scrooge even though you're 21 makeup. Just some lines on the forehead, a little
Yes,
gray on
yes.
the temple.
Maybe a cane
You're
next
ready
to him.
go. He's reading a Charles Bukowski book,
Yeah.
and which is interesting because the father character, now after 26 years or whatever, is turned into a redneck. He's using a different voice than he did in the first scene.
His old man
And
voice is just a
he's now like
redneck
this drunken,
voice.
stupid hillbilly type, which I would not expect to be falling asleep reading a Charles Bukowski book. But again, maybe that's part of the gag of the whole thing. Like a movie like this, it's hard to tell what is supposed to be there, what is supposed to be ridiculous, what is supposed to be funny, and then the stuff that's just inept or just bad. You know what I mean? So it's hard. It straddles this weird line where it's like, do they know that's dumb? Do they,
I'd say it's about 18 to 85.
Yeah. I mean, that's the good thing about irony is that you could just like, you're blameless.
Yeah, what's a purposeful joke? What's an inside joke? And what did they
Yeah.
just have on set?
Yeah.
Is very elusive.
Yeah, and the scene
Then what
basically
happens?
just-
It's like all these vocal pauses were just like,
Well, that's kind of how the movie feels.
Yeah.
Like there'll be here's a whole scene, and yeah, there's some funny bits, or this is kind of interesting, and then they'll stop talking, and then they'll cut,
yeah,
and then they'll fade.
there's like the comedic scenes and then the story scenes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the story is technically moving in every scene a little bit, but there's scenes that are just certainly much funnier than others. And so I guess, and again, as we scroll through the movie, and then we get to probably one of my
Christ.
favorite scenes of the movie.
I forgot about this guy.
What is the vampire hunter's name?
Blade knockoff.
Yeah, but he's got a
oh
name.
yeah, this
though.
is a great bit.
He
I
actually
don't
has a
remember his
name, and it's Deacon Sloan,
Deacon. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a good
played by
vampire hunter
Nick
name.
Peasant. But anyways, yeah. So for some reason, this is like a meanwhile somewhere else. I don't know where this is.
Pittsburgh. It says it's in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
why Pittsburgh of all places, but yeah, the title card says Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it's now we're in a basement with like a whole bunch of vampires that we have yet to see, but they all have very similar fashion sense and acting ability. So I had to make sure. I'm like, are these the same one? No, these are different ones. But we also have this Blade type of character who's gonna face off against these vampires, and he has a lot of quips and one-liners, and it's very meta in terms of it knows that it's a vampire movie. It's going to reference Underworld with the techno music and Blade and that sort of stuff. And
well, the whole thing is like it's a spoof on just the very idea of an action scene, and I can't help but think that they did that to avoid having to actually produce something of quality. And I'm not trying to say that in a condescending way. I mean that like they know that they're not going to have gallons of blood. They know they can't actually stick these things in these their neighbor's daughter who's acting in this. It's like they keep making jokes about how we'll each attack one by one, and it's basically every when Deacon fights each individual vampire, there's some different goof associated with it. And the first one is a girl runs up and very enthusiastic and he just puts his hand on her forehead and she keeps going, and then he just stabs her. Like there's little bits for each one. Some are more upsetting than others.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's like expensive to make fake blood. I mean, they could have definitely done that if they wanted to.
Well, I just again that the scene is in a basement,
But
so I can't help but think that there's some reason why the production quality of this scene was very low.
I mean, maybe it was just filmed after the fact, so you couldn't introduce like that character in the car, whether he gets hit by the car. I don't know.
I guess
Maybe it was just filmed a year later.
It's probably all their real clothes. This is probably someone's basement or the basement of the video store. I mean, this is probably very blood light for the same reason our movies weren't very gross.
Yeah.
It's just a mess.
Yeah.
And like as good as it is, and as fun as it is, they don't want to deal with a fucking mess, especially for this.
Yeah.
And it's in this scene that we see that, and this runs throughout the movie, is that all the wooden stakes that are used throughout the movie, I wasn't sure if they were really wooden stakes or if they were just door jams, little wooden door stoppers. I mean, that's what they look like. They took a door stopper and just shaved. They really did. At first, I thought that was the joke. I thought that he was pulling out a door jam. Maybe he was like a custodian and he was killing these vampires in the boiler room or something. But no, these wooden stakes throughout the movie are these short, stubby, like door stoppers.
Yeah. Well, I think whoever was in charge of like whittling them, like got a little bit in and then cut his finger and decided to give up.
Yeah, this is sharp enough.
So
they might have had a little bit more energy in them than you might, Joe.
Oh, okay. That would be my go-to. I got 3 steaks done. I accidentally hit my thumb with the knife, so I'm done.
That sounds like something that would happen.
Yeah.
I'm done.
No more, thanks.
Probably the most offensive thing in the movie. Well, again, I don't even know how to. So there's 4 female vampires and 1 male one that looks like a effeminate theater, college theater.
He looks like a cartoon gay person.
Yes.
Yeah, very stereotypical. Like think of on In Living Color. Remember the books or Men on Books that Damon Wayans and they used to do that, and they even did the snap thing, and they do that in this movie too. So it's that stereotypical over the top gay caricature.
It was 2006, probably earlier, so that was the peak right there. That was the height of comedy back in the day.
The height of homophobia.
Well, that too. Yeah.
But there are several, the jokes are I'm a gay vampire, I have AIDS, I'll spit AIDS blood on you. And I'm pretty sure he does a spoof of the AIDS song from Team America. So, which makes me think that maybe this was shot in 2004 when that came out, because in the AIDS song the Rent spoof in Team America, it ends with them saying AIDS, 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 AIDS. And he says, it sounds almost like it tonally similar. But anyways, the Deacon, every time the vampire says stuff like that, Deacon says, well, that's offensive. And then when he kills him, he makes a point of saying that it's not because I'm homophobic. It's just because you're a vampire.
Well, he also puts a condom on the stake and stabs him.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
They're trying to have it both ways.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's roll that. Can we pull that up? Can we get that clip up
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. Okay. For folks at home, here you go.
Deacon kills everybody, kills all the vampires. There's another funny bit with the lead vampire where she argues and blah, blah, blah. But eventually he kills all the vampires, and then he gets a phone call saying that there are more vampires in Dayton, Ohio. And he's like, all right. And he says some quip, and that's the last we see of him for about half an hour. I forgot he was in the movie till he reappears.
Basically shows up and dies, right?
Yeah. That's his next scene.
Which I appreciate.
It's like, is that?
Yeah, that was a good goof.
Is that a bit, or is that just bad? You know what I mean? It's hard.
It's got to be, because the whole, like, the red herring love interest, the little blonde girl that shows up and gets turned into a vampire, and spoiler alert, Marty uses like the one antidote to cure her. And the assumption is because she's sweet to him throughout the whole movie, she's nice to him, especially when the manager's an asshole. And at the end of the movie, you think, hey, he's finally over his ex-girlfriend. Well, also because she's dead. Well, he kills her, actually. And then you think that they're going to get together, especially because he saved her life. And nope, she's going on a date with the dick manager at the very end of the movie. And that's the end. It's like he gets a quip, like, what does he say at the very end?
It's a living.
I mean, along those lines, yeah.
So anyways, I think that's the same joke. It's you set this thing up like, hey, this tough, badass vampire, he'll save Marty nope, Marty kills him with his car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and maybe Joe was right. Maybe that was something they shot later. Like maybe like he just showed up at the end and Marty killed him, like Santa Claus style. And they were like, we got to put some more context to
Now
this.
he's the vampire hunter.
Yeah.
Take his place.
Yeah, see, it's the vampire clause in the contract. You just signed it without reading it.
Oh, shit. The deacon
That's
Signed
the
it in
issue.
blood, Joe.
Yeah, that's the issue, Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins.
What?
Tim Allen?
Tim Allen. Yeah.
Ooh, wrong
Tim
Tim.
Robbins.
I own that.
We're back at the
Video store with chain link fences. That's the strangest thing about this.
It looks like it was like a fairly new video store at the time. So I feel like this video store was constructed not long before this film was shot, but it also, knowing what we know, shortly after that video stores would become extinct. So I feel like this was
It was probably somebody's like passion project. He got it off the ground the year before.
I also wouldn't be surprised if this was an empty, like, storefront, and that's everyone's DVDs.
This feels like way too much production value for this film.
It's just some fences.
I don't buy it.
Well, I got to say, though, I like it. I like the fences.
It's cool.
It's just very strange.
Yeah.
I can't. It's so cool, in fact, that I can't conceive of these filmmakers producing it.
Sure.
Well, and so, yeah, I'm guessing that much like a lot of us worked at video stores or theaters, maybe Henrique worked at this video store and,
Absolutely.
got
Him and Shawn, the main dude.
Yeah, got the keys for after hours. But anyways, we're back at the video store. Vampire bitches show up again. I'm led to believe that they're actually watching these movies because it's not like they need to check in on their investment or whatever, their flubby buddy's blood. It's like it's not going anywhere.
Well, you gotta bait the hook if you want to catch a big trout.
Well, it
doesn't seem like they're doing much work, though.
As Joe has said, Ginger, I think, finally asks Tyler to go out together.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we see the ex-girlfriend kind of with the... I keep wanting to say coven, but it's not a coven. Is there a name for a gaggle of vampires?
I think coven is the word.
Is it?
A murder.
I think. A murder, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be coven.
Coven, shut up, Joe.
A clutch? A brood?
Ooh. I like brood.
Yeah, let's go with brood. We're going to say brood.
All right, so a brood of
vamps.
vampire bitches shows up.
Yeah, and they plant the seeds of the cute little...
Can we stop here?
Oh,
Can we go back?
We should address that joke.
This is the
Nick
worst
shot
joke
back
of the
to
movie.
life.
Yeah.
When that happened.
I forgot because I stopped taking notes right after the last offensive thing. Is about when I stopped taking notes last time. But I made a mental note of this one, and There's a MySpace parody
Called My Place.
Yeah,
Yes.
My Place.
And so the ex-girlfriend was with the group. He goes to spy on her after they leave the video store. And who wants to actually say it? Because I don't.
I'll say it.
Thank you, Trevor.
So there is, first of all, there's a header on this website, which I guess these do exist. But it says My Place, and the tagline for a website, I guess some websites have, it's a slogan, is "We invented," and in air quotes, "date rape," which is a whole thing to unpack that I'm not sure what the joke is. It's in poor taste regardless, which I guess is a little different when it's 2006 and you're making a movie on VHS with your buddies about vampire bitches in a just weird 24-hour video store. But it's real fucking weird and awkward now.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what the joke even is.
So here's my take on it. I think that
we got to dissect this one.
Somebody close to the production of this movie had a girlfriend that left them for somebody they met on MySpace.
Oh boy.
And because it's like it's an attack on MySpace. And it's like, so it's like, it's either they think MySpace is funny, they think it's stupid. That's an unnecessary detail.
I feel like we're thinking about this too hard.
I am.
I think they wanted to put my place up there, but they were like, then we got to have something else in there. Now, also maybe this is a time thing. Did MySpace have a slogan like that? That they're goofing on?
I can't remember.
I mean, technically, MySpace's slogan was just "Go fuck yourself."
I think that was something like that. MySpace, a place for friends to meet. I think that was kind of like
a place for friends. Yes,
a place for friends,
something like that. It was just
so they wanted something, and they probably, I don't know. To me, that doesn't feel like a premeditated attack. It feels like, we got to put something up there.
It's just a dumb goof.
Just put something. We invented date rape. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Well, how about another pass?
Yeah.
Another draft.
Yes. Remember MySpace? And then, thank God we get to go into the...
very sexy.
Now, wait, is it a goof on how he's kind of being raped in the scene? Is that their attempt at trying to tie these two scenes together? I didn't realize they were back-to-back like this.
I feel like, again, that's too much thought put into this to be an intentional thing.
It's a consensual sex scene.
I think he just wanted an excuse to show his girlfriend's boobs.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's all it was.
And then, so
meanwhile, the asshole's scanning himself.
Yeah, we bounce back and forth between the video store and the sex scene, which results in Tyler getting bitten. What was the shit he was puking up?
He's barfing
his
up.
gut. I believe this is the way I took it, is that because he's turning into he's dead. He's the undead.
Yeah, he doesn't need guts now.
Maybe in that universe, you don't need your entrails anymore because you're not going to digest anything. You're just going to be getting nutrients from human blood. So maybe the part of the process of turning from human to vampire is you get rid of your guts. And so he pukes out, his intestine and some cauliflower into the most disgusting bathtub. The gore was whatever. That fucking bathtub.
Hold on a second, Ryan. That's a line in Butcher the Baker's.
What?
What is?
When Bones' guts are getting ripped out, you say, "I think I saw a piece of cauliflower." What is it with you and cauliflower and Gutty Works?
I don't know.
Well, that's
you're right. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
We found one of his tricks.
Because I think cauliflower is gross. I think that's really what it comes down to. So if I'm going to make a joke about a vegetable, I'm probably going to go with cauliflower or creamed corn. Those are the two vegetables I think are gross.
Creamed corn has been worked into something too.
Creamed corn was mixed in with strawberries and blood for
the goat
in Grace's room.
Just hearing Ryan say creamed corn triggered a memory in me.
On the last episode of The Man with No Brain, Joe interrupted me on my old country buffet analogy where I was going to make a reference to Joe slurping down some creamed corn, but he ruined the joke by interrupting me. So
okay.
You're
Well,
right.
I did not know that. I'm sorry.
But that's my go-to.
Anyway, so he's going through a change here.
Yeah.
And then the vampire bitches, do they appear at his house or no? He goes over to
when he's laying on the floor next to what looks like gym lockers. Is he talking with the vampires? Like we don't hear them, but he's having a conversation, right?
I think so.
They can speak to him to tell back. Yeah.
Because he says, "I hear you. It's like I have a TV in my head with no scene or no picture."
Yeah. It also happens when he goes over to see what's his face, he starts communicating with them telepathically as well.
Yeah.
Right before he explodes.
That's
or
right.
whatever.
So basically, they just use him as a minion to go get their bountiful bald feast.
But why?
Well, because, I mean, if there's like a smoked piggy with an apple in his mouth on your table, you're not going to be digging into a little turkey leg, are you?
Well, and like most people would assume, this character arc for Tyler, where did it begin and end? And I'm going to guess it began with a sex scene and then tried to work its way to involving the plot somehow. So
After he vamps out 100%, he's a full-on vampire. He he goes to what the fuck's his name? Marty Jenkins. He goes to Marty Jenkins' house, and he's looking terrible. He's looking terrible. He's all pale, and he looks like
he looks like Ozzy Osbourne.
he does. He does. He's got the really thick pancake makeup and the dark circle around
Directly
his
after
eyes.
he ate the bat.
Yep.
He just turned into King Diamond. But he goes over to Marty Jenkins, and they, for a while,
They
it's like
technically
old
hang
times.
out all night because the sun is up.
And they just hang out, and they have a friendly friend montage where now I looked down and then I looked up and I didn't feel like rewinding. Was there a bit where you're supposed to think they might be just jerking off next to each other, but they're really playing video games, or was that?
No, I think you may have implied that. That wasn't in the cut I saw.
There's a shot of the Tyler character, and he's like doing with his face, and then it cuts to their hands with playing video games. So for some reason, I was like, well, Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches, it's probably supposed to be a jerk off joke.
Yes,
but
it does appear to look that way.
Yeah, I can see that.
They do paint each other's toes, though.
Yes.
yeah.
Have a
cute.
tickle fight.
Marty gets up first, the sun's out, he opens the blinds, and it starts to burn Tyler. I'll be honest, like the smoking stuff looks pretty good.
It's decent.
It's just a smoke machine, but the way that they get it to work around him, it looks pretty good. Mm-hmm. And that's the end of the compliments.
Well, I mean, I thought the vampire teeth looked all right too, but at that point, doesn't he attack him? Is that the point where he tries to kill Marty Jenkins?
Marty ends up with I think it's like a wooden cat, like a tall wooden cat thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's got pointy ears.
Tyler attacks him, falls on him, and I'm assuming it's implied that it goes into him.
Yeah, he dies because there's like a shot of his body just on the, and he's like kind of dissolving like a gremlin. Not with like any actual liquid, but his coat's like stuck in on itself.
Yeah, and I don't know where Marty's going, but this is when we get the title card, Dayton, Ohio, letting us know that Deacon has landed, and then 10 seconds later is hit by Marty.
Yeah.
In what looks like a parking lot.
Well, he's just standing in the yeah.
Oh, he's new in town. He doesn't know where to go yet. He's just like, all right, well, I'm going to get my bearings straight here and crunch.
Also, this isn't Marty's car.
It is not.
Marty drives a 2001 model Volkswagen Bug. I only know that because my dad had the same car but in a different color. All of a sudden, he's got this van.
Yes.
Of some kind.
He has like a
What happened to the
copper...
Bug?
Well, he decided Tyler's car was better than his.
Traded it in.
Yeah. Deacon gives him the seed to contact, what's his name? Hummer?
Hummers.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
They themselves, aren't they connected?
I think they just kind of like know of
Because
each other, maybe.
Hummer knows that Deacon is dead or something, or is at least able to identify that Marty isn't lying by the luggage. And it's like, if anybody showed me any of my friend's luggage, I wouldn't be able to tell them who the fuck's luggage it was.
Yeah,
Maybe
no kidding.
Deacon doesn't go anywhere without that luggage. And he said at some point during a luncheon, he said, look, guys, if you ever see someone else carrying my handbag, I'm fucking dead. And maybe that went out to the vampire,
There you go.
community, vampire hunter community.
We cut back to the vampire girls, and the lead one is trying to connect, I assume, with Tyler, in a very similar fashion to Joe when he uses his mind sense in Butcher the Bakers to locate the big bad.
Yeah,
of the
Drag,
movie.
yeah.
We I guess we stole from Marty Jenkins.
I think there's just a
nuts.
collective consciousness of like low budget horror movies.
All the bad ideas just float in the air, and we just connect to
Yeah,
it.
yeah. We
the
just
lowest
pick up
hanging
on it
fruit.
like radio frequencies.
Well, yeah, Hummer was a fun character. This is where the movie started running out of steam for me. I'm enjoying the movie, and how much is left? There's only got to be maybe 10 minutes, and boom, there's still like another 35 minutes. I was like, oof. Hummer brought a little life into the movie for me. because at that point I was tired of it. I was like, okay, I've had fun with this. It's the vibe, the jokes, the style, the story, the acting. I'm out. I'm done. I'm tired of it. I want to wrap this up now. It would have been a great 1 hour movie, but Hummer comes in and I'm like, oh, okay, it woke me up a little bit more because he's still, like I said, he reminded me of Patrick Swayze's brother, and he's talking his shit, and I liked the character. It was a little bit different.
Well, he's like a 60-year-old roadie. It's like he listens to Metallica in his evenings and sips tea. So it's something very unique to what's going on in the rest of this movie, which is a bunch of friends.
Which buddy's apartment are they shooting in today? Because there's no way in hell Hummer has all the
an Evil Dead poster.
No,
geek
I
stuff.
have
The
to
Evil Dead
assume.
poster.
I have to assume that's the director's home.
Oh,
The one who's
yeah.
got to be obsessed enough with horror films to make one. And
Yeah.
show
Marty's house.
off his house.
Oh, there's a shelf full of action figures. The Evil Dead poster is in a ornate frame.
It's his most prized possession. It's a reproduction of the Evil Dead poster
It's probably signed by somebody.
Yeah.
by the third AD, Ted
I
Raimi.
always thought
I will-
posters look nicer in a frame.
Yeah, I will say I do appreciate the amount of color in their homes.
Yeah.
I feel like with movies like this, it usually looks like the video store all the time.
Gray
I like
and
that there was,
blue.
I like there's some lighting, some red, some greens, some
Yeah,
purples.
I think these boys need a little bit more plant life.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be a
I
nice
mean,
shrub.
Any bit of effort is greatly appreciated. And yeah, if you get a colored light in there, that's great.
But it's with Hummer that we have a preparation montage.
That's not yet. That's not yet,
That's not
actually.
yet?
No? Oh, that's right.
No, he goes to the video store where he finds the manager is all tied up. And he's finally introduced to the vampire bitches as they are. And it's the whole group. It's the 3 original ones, the ex-girlfriend, and the, perceived love interest. They're coming for blood. We go back to the one death at a time or one fight at a time. Not the lead and not Ginger, but the other one.
She's kind of tall. I don't know.
Yeah, she trips on Marty's shoes because he's on the ground, and he's pulling out a steak at the right moment. She falls on the steak.
Well, she
Oh yeah,
reminded
she's
me
the one
of,
that was always wanting to eat, and nobody would. She's like, "Can I finally get one?"
She's the whiny vampire.
Yeah. She reminded me of the one in Hocus Pocus, who kind of looked like her. The witch, yeah.
A little. Kathy and Jimmy.
Yeah.
A little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it. She
Hey
looks
Joe, have
very
you seen
familiar.
Hocus Pocus?
I saw that as a young boy.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say,
I think
might have
everybody did.
I would
It
believe
was on
that
a
Joe.
Disney Channel like 5 days a week.
Yeah, I would believe that Joe saw that as a boy.
Okay, all right.
Well, Marty pulls out a cross that brings about the best, the special effect used in the movie. Because throughout the movie, there are digital effects used that are just absolutely terrible. It's like stock stuff. Just like overlaid on things, and it's like you don't really think twice about it because like you expect it, but this one is beautiful because it was unnecessary. It didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And that is initially there is like a digital sparks effect and all this stuff, but then there's digital bats.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yes, digital bats that you see for a hot second that are just sitting there, but then they fly past Marty. Oh, it's wonderful.
So funny.
Very, very birdemic.
Yes.
Yes.
Clearly from a different lighting setup.
And they didn't they could have just flashed away and no, I wouldn't have questioned it, but they
Yeah, just that poof of smoke.
We need those digital bats.
More bats, more
This
bats.
film won't work without the digital bats.
Well, no, yeah,
Or I'm walking.
they want you to know that these aren't ladies; these are bats.
Yeah, these are vampires now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Let's not forget.
So, I mean, even though they've apparently were establishing some of their own vampire lore, they could have done anything with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have turned into wisps.
They're like corgis, cool ass corgis.
Cool.
So then Marty goes right back to Hummer. There's a lot of this. There's
Same
That's why I'm so
exact
confused
setup.
because it's like then we're back with Hummer at his house again, and he's sitting there doing his thing.
Yeah, and it's like this seems like first feature film style mistakes where there's nothing wrong with everything that they want in the movie inherently, but when you lay it out piecemeal by piecemeal and you're at a location, you're establishing some things, you go somewhere else just because something else has to happen, and then you're back to that place again. It's like you got to find a way to make all of that work together.
I think it gives the illusion of complexity to the film, whereas it's really just This is messy and weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are we going back here now?
Yeah.
I feel like that might be the train of thought when that happens.
That
And
makes
we've
sense.
done it before too.
That's all I'm thinking about. That's why I'm quiet. is I'm
Well,
just
yeah,
like,
that's the big thing with this movie is we can't be too harsh because
Vampire bitches walked so that we could run.
so that River City
We
Panic
stood
could
on the
jaunt,
shoulders of vampire
could kind of
bitches.
jog.
well, I'm curious if we can figure this out because I want to know how old. Okay, he was born in 1986.
So he's only a couple years older than that.
What?
So he filmed this in like 2005, maybe 2006, and released it. Well, it released 31st of March 2006. So I'm going to say it was filmed in 2005.
So he's like right out of high school.
Yeah. So this guy, I think I read somewhere that he's a high school dropout actually.
Oh, okay.
And
But still, I mean, he's like 18, 19 years old.
yeah. So it's like for somebody to have dropped out of high school, and again, this was like a description of a podcast that he was a guest on. I'm hoping I'm getting this right. But to be a high school dropout and like being like, fuck it, I'm going to go make a movie within like the next 2 years and accomplishes that is impressive.
Yeah.
But that explains the humor. I don't know if that's what you're going to
That's
say.
exactly what I was going to say. It totally explains the humor and the want of reference. I know movies. Hey
Oh my
guys,
gosh, yeah.
because at that age I was exactly the same way. So as
That does
far as the
remind me.
references.
I don't think we touched on it, but there is a reference to Tarantino films.
Oh, yeah.
Tarantino dialogue, which
Yes.
we should very early on in the film.
I messaged you about that right when I was watching it
Yes.
initially. Told you you would like that.
Amongst the vampires, which I thought about the logistics of it. These vampires are also into Tarantino films.
Yeah, they've been
Which is-
around for 1,000 years, and this is the first fresh dialogue they've heard from a movie.
Damn, that was a good one. That got me, Joe.
Joe was storing it up.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
So, anyways, we're back with Hummer again, and this is when,
Puts on his gear.
well, the whole montage I feel like is dedicated to him just putting on a pair of gauntlets.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
nothing else about his appearance changes.
Yeah, he just puts on the gauntlets and then he puts on a little makeup and then he takes off the makeup because he
You
thinks
know,
the
we
legs
got
are-
those gauntlets at that same store at the mall that they got that sword from. What is it? Sleepy
Hot
Hollow
Topic
High.
or-
Yes.
Yeah. No,
Oh, go
same-
back.
Same
Those
store.
are 1,000% whittled down doorstops. You get a
Are
good
they?
look at
Good.
them. Look at that. Bam.
For some reason, I think it was my brother. He used to get a lot of train horns as a kid. It looks like those train horns, but like,
Oh my god.
I bet he still does.
that would have been a great bit if it was a train horn. Stabs a girl, blows it up, boop, boop, and then her head explodes or something.
Yeah, just all
Yeah.
the blood is like flying out of the back.
I'm fairly certain that those are actually posts for like signs or something. Like
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
you do for like if you're putting up a garden or something.
Oh,
Pretty
yeah.
sure that's exactly what those are.
Okay, like a tomato plant. Those things that hold up tomato plants in my dad's
Making
garden.
when you're building your own trellis. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's what those are.
And can somebody explain to me? As Marty's on his way to attack the vampire bitches or kill them or whatever, there's some line about, whoa, this dark hallway sure is long.
Yeah, I didn't know he was inside. I
Is,
thought he was outside.
is that a joke? Is that a meta joke?
I feel like it is, but it lands kind of on its side, for lack of a better term.
I don't even
Because
remember the
I
joke.
don't recall that we see him go into anywhere. Like if we saw him,
Well, they said meet us at this location.
sure, and then we see an establishing shot, a big spooky house or something. We go here, we see him go gulp and walk in, and he's doing this bit Scooby Doo style where they're like walking around, and they're still walking around, and they're walking around still, and then he says, "Oh, this is a long hallway." That would be funny, but we don't see any of that. It just looks like he's outside in the parking lot, and he's like, "Oh, it's a long hallway."
Yeah, in fact, I think I can see what looks like a like tarp, a
Yeah,
dark tarp
I
against
can
the
kind of
back.
see that from here. Also,
In that first shot of him like putting on the garlic necklace, I swear you can see like the glint of headlights in the background.
There's a car in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like the filmmaking 101 for beginners: is get your car ready. 'Cause this-
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be in every.
You're gonna need the headlights or lighting.
Yeah.
and you know it's that same green beetle.
Yep.
That's why they couldn't use it, because they were using it to light the scene, so they had to get the other van.
Perfect. Now they probably didn't want to hit somebody with it, so they used the old shitty van.
Yeah.
But also didn't think about it.
So he's getting taunted by Ginger, who killed Tyler, and he's having flashbacks to his friend.
Nick, your thing about this being a play In this scene, it works perfectly because they're just in a black void.
If you take the whole film, if you just took this script and people just acting it out on a stage with it doesn't need a set or anything. They're just acting it out with the words and the dialogue and maybe some props.
It'd be perfect.
It would be funny. You could convince people to laugh with it.
Yeah.
Taking the whole film into consideration with the script and the shitty locations and the shitty effects and the weird pacing issues, then it kind of fails. But this is a good example of this could be a play. Work with what you got.
I mean, this looks like just the parents' house. It probably is. Just lit with all right, throw in the green and purple lights.
Kickstarter money use their house. He kills the main vampire, the lead vampire, by tearing off that necklace. Yeah, by tearing up the necklace, the talisman. She had no power or whatever. He defeats her. Which there was a joke early in the movie about her and that necklace, meaning that she's shaved. Which I thought for certain would come back when he was grabbing the necklace. Like he might remember
pull out
shaved.
like a big yank of hair.
It never comes back. So I didn't get that. But
because the whole joke here is that he wants to save his girlfriend, but then she's like so excited she starts talking about like marrying him, right?
No, she just starts
she's
bitching.
Just saying now, then she'll go to college and you can pay for it and I won't have to work.
Yeah, like they're going to get together, but everything is going to be on Marty.
Yeah.
And so he stabs her.
Yeah, he stakes her. And then Hummer's like, good job, bro. Because, Hummer's like, hey, the old ball and chain, you don't need that when you're fighting vampires.
Perceived love interest, the little blonde, shows up asking for help, and Marty saves her. And we're back to normal after that. He's back at the video store.
He changed, finally. He's got a different outfit on.
Everybody's good friends again. And then our little blonde love interest comes in and says all these great, sweet things about Marty, how thankful she is that she's back to normal and everything. And then Marty asks her if she'd like to go get a drink or something.
Coffee, I think he says.
Yeah.
It's very innocuous and very innocent.
And her reaction.
Goes, whoa, hey now, just because you saved my life doesn't mean you got a date out of me. Womp. I don't know. There's no subtlety to it.
It's very 2006.
Look at us. We're doing things differently here on the set of Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches.
But at least it does reinforce that idea that Marty Jenkins is a sorry sack of shit.
Yep.
Yes.
Nobody likes Marty
remember
Jenkins.
That's what his dad says when he's born. Because that's when they built up making you think he's going to say, because he keeps saying, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. And I was waiting for him to say, I knew I would have a vampire son or something. But then he just said, he's ugly. So maybe that's to add insult to injury. She's going to go with the shitty manager.
Yeah. So the manager walks out with the girlfriend or the girl. He does the, licking pussy sign. I don't know what you call that.
Oh, yeah. That's what that is.
It's a
cunnilingus.
Throughout the movie.
Yeah, and then Marty's standing there. He's looking at the DVDs that she brought back in, and he says, Fright Night's back in. I've been wanting to watch that. I guess I could watch it or something. And then just hard cut to credits and music.
All right, that's a hell of a joke to go on, I guess.
I like that because Fright Night's my favorite movie of all time. So I'm right there. But Marty,
there you go.
I was on Marty's side again at that point, and then the movie was over.
Yeah.
I like that poster. You just had a poster up that was all black and white kind of look.
Oh, this was
that one's a nice looking poster.
That's not how any of the vampire bitches look.
There they are with their ill-fitting jackets.
But yeah, so that's Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches. And
It was an experience. All right, so now comes the portion of the podcast where we're going to rate the movie. Benevolent is good. Malevolent is bad. Who wants to go first? Tyler, you want to go first, or do you want to wait? Because you said your review would be surprising.
I'm going to go Malevolent. Benevolent. I'm going to go Benevolent. Not deep into it. It's like it's more than a toe, but it's not a full foot. And it's mainly because I appreciate the fact that they had fun. That they didn't make this for anybody else but themselves, and I guess maybe like-minded individuals. And I did laugh. Like my girlfriend and I sat down, we watched it together, and we did laugh. And I think sometimes it was because they wanted us to laugh, and it wasn't just at the movie. And in the backstory of this guy really giving it his all to make this thing and get it out there as a apparently 20-year-old, high school dropout, like, hey, I can appreciate that. Like, some of the jokes are more than just dated. They're tasteless, but I would hope that maybe these individuals have grown out of that phase since they were, basically teenagers. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'll give him credit where credit is due. He's a hustler, so good for him.
Yeah.
All right. Nick?
I will say that it is. I'm going to go Malevolent. And I think that the script, it falls short in a lot of places, mostly in just its execution. But the jokes, some of the concepts, it's clever, and I appreciate it. Do I want to watch it again? No, I really don't. But also, I can see ourselves in this film. We've made this film, so I can't go too hard on it. But also, I don't want to watch it again. So
Fair enough.
Yeah, they get some credit.
Joe?
No, I'm out on this one. I'm gonna give it a Malevolent. I wasn't expecting to necessarily be like get any like new knowledge in this movie. I just wanted to be entertained, and it didn't even do that. But it wasn't like offensively bad. Like at least we weren't watching like Wild Wild West.
I'm also gonna give this a Malevolent, but maybe with like 15 to 25% removed from full on Malevolent. Like there, like everyone has said, there's some good stuff in here, and certainly for someone so young to slap this together as haphazard and kind of disjointed as it is kind of impressive, especially in 2006. With the tool set they would have had is much more limited than what we have today. Yeah. So all of that is very interesting, but that doesn't really translate into it being a great movie. There's some things I liked. Like I said, I like the color palette, especially when they're in their weird little hovels, their little hobbit holes they're living in with the stark red and blue and green lights. That was interesting. I like lighting like that, especially in a weird movie like this. I think Call Girl of Cthulhu had something similar.
Yeah.
I always like that. The story itself is, if you strip it down to the bare bones, is like fine, I guess. I would be interested in seeing this remade by someone, even if it is them again, just like today.
Shot for shot, like Psycho.
Sure. Christ. No, I guess
Hummer back.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If he's still around, I think I would be more interested to see one of Henrique's newer movies. Just because it seems like I could see where this turns into something that we would enjoy, similar to the Chris LaMartina movies. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's what happened, but I could extrapolate that from this movie. So yeah, we'll say mostly Malevolent, and if you want to take a trip down memory lane, if you made shit like this, like we all did, sure, why not? Give it a shot.
So he's got a 2019 film,
Ouija Room.
Yeah.
Scare Stories as well. That just came out, it looks like.
Oh, is it a show or a podcast?
Spooky Stories is his podcast.
Okay.
Oh, he's got his podcast on here?
On IMDb, yeah.
But it's a different writer, this Ouija Room, different writer, and it looks like they're going after like the, Insidious, that type of what's the Conjuring style,
Sinister,
because the poster that's what it reminds me of.
It looks like all of those, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, even the Ouija movies that have come out. There was 2 Ouija movies recently.
Yeah. So there is a semi-recent horror movie. It's not a horror comedy. But there's a semi-recent horror movie that he's made. So maybe we might have to revisit Henrique.
Yeah, maybe down the road. Yeah.
Yeah,
interesting.
Or maybe next week.
God.
You guys ready?
Like having too much ice cream, you get a tummy ache.
Oh yeah, that's it.
I've just for that, I'm going to intentionally pick another. I'm going to go as far down as I can into hell for the next indie episode.
Oh boy,
I'm busy that day.
Yeah, Nick's ain't gonna be here.
Well, all you have to do is like turn on Tubi and throw a dart at the horror section.
Oh yeah.
You'll find about 3,000.
No, there's so much good stuff there. There's like the Attack of the Killer Hatchet Man. There's like Blood Fart Lake.
This is what Joe does. He just sits on Tubi, just
Yeah,
surfing. Instead
looking
of
for a
watching
movie.
all these great movies that he's shitting on.
So Ryan, have you given your review yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Well, drum roll.
Hit us with it.
All right. Malevolent. Or no. Damn it.
Oh.
I did what Tyler did.
Yeah.
Benevolent. Benevolent. Believe it or not, I'm going to go ahead and say benevolent, but there is a caveat. It's
I'll
only
be a
going to
son
be
of a bitch.
it's only going to be benevolent
I'm not too far away from you.
if you know what you're going to watch. You have to be
Yeah.
of a certain mindset. Either you are an indie filmmaker yourself, or you have a specific love for the shot on video, the history of shot on video, and then up through the 2000s. If you know what you're going to get when you go into this, meaning you probably have Monstered on your shelf at home, you'll probably enjoy it. There's enough, comedy, and not everything works. A lot of distasteful stuff. But of the movies that were being made in the similar vein at that time period, it's one of the probably better ones. But if you were just a regular average Joe and you just got done watching, I don't know, episode of iZombie, and you're like, yeah, I'm on Netflix, and you're like, yeah, I'm still into watching a genre movie. Oh, look at vampire bitches. You're good. No, you won't last 5 minutes. You'll be out. But so it's benevolent if you know what you're getting into and you know who you are. Absolutely. It probably won't have a lot of rewatch value, because I'll never watch it again. But it has enough that I can't, and the backstory of the filmmaker, all that, I have to give it a benevolent, but it's right there on the edge. But yeah, benevolent.
I could see it being like a guilty pleasure for people who have made movies and don't want to revisit their own early films because it hurts too much.
Yeah.
But want to get that
hit.
tang. Yeah.
Yes,
That weird,
yes.
that's very specific low res, but not super low res feel of
Yes.
video. If like decent video.
And I have movies on my shelf identical to that other people would be like, why are you watching? Like Jacko. I love that movie. I watch it at least twice every Halloween season, and it is probably unbearable for most people, but it just does something for me. So
The next episode will be, we're back to our, and this is not like, because we're trying to do like a more wide release and then indies, but the indies are really, really small. We're talking like less than
Super small.
$50,000 budgets probably by independent creators who probably haven't left their hometown. And so this is probably still, I think, Ryan, you said it is technically an independent, but it's one of those, it looks like one of those Hollywood independent films.
yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of this one
Yeah.
when you sent it to us.
I had seen like the poster somewhere. Maybe I saw it on like a shelf at Family
Well,
Video or something.
It is technically in the logo for the show. It's buried in there somewhere. But Eye Murders from 2008, which has a massive cast.
Yeah. Lando's in it.
And that was a movie that it's funny how MySpace was a part of Marty Jenkins. Well, I remember on MySpace, this being one of the first times like an indie movie that I recall had a page, and you would be a friend of it, and it had updates. And so I never saw the movie, but I'll never forget the second you brought that title up. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that just from the MySpace days of marketing for
What
for
year
iMurder.
was this?
2008.
Yeah.
Oh,
so they were
okay.
probably
MySpace was still
advertising that they're
around?
making it around
Yeah, they were
2006,
big. They were
2007. and-
huge. Cloverfield just did their big MySpace push with like all of the characters' pages, and they were dead
I
and missing.
kind of.
and
Oh yeah, I do kind of remember that. I don't
I remember just wanting that slusho.
I know you love your slush show.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't remember that they did all that on MySpace.
Yeah.
I just kind of assumed it was Facebook. I can't remember. That's been a while.
Their bands would sometimes, drop their new single on MySpace. You would log on and they would have their song. For a while
What
there,
a
it was a big
strange
deal.
time that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember 2005, 2006. That school year is when it really popped.
Yes, I remember everybody in like the computer classes constantly trying to log on in the schools for the first time, trying to figure out how you block shit.
Yep.
And so you would have been, you're 10 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, no, 5 years.
No.
Yeah, 5.
You're 15 years younger than Ryan, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm 10 years younger than Ryan. I'm only 5 years older than you?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm 7 years.
It's
When
hard
did
to
you-
believe
what-
it,
hang
Joe.
on.
I'm 32, Joe's 25.
Yeah, 7. I'm 10 years younger than Ryan.
So, Joe, you would have been basically inside your mom.
No.
Yeah, he would have been.
I wouldn't have been mind space in my mom's belly.
Lots of people were.
No.
Good night, folks.
No, my mom is not a whore.
Good night, everybody.
No, no, no dicks in my mom, thank you.